right. Welcome to another episode of the New American Town podcast, coming to you today from beautiful Bentonville, Arkansas, right off the downtown square. We have a very special episode for you today, so we're going to jump right in. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Aimee Ross, and I'm with Visit Bentonville as the Director of Bike Bentonville, which is the bike brand for Visit Bentonville. As many of you know, our job is to brand and promote our city as the mountain biking capital of the world. I'm joined by two very special guests today to talk about their love for cycling, their experience riding our more than 140 miles of trails, and the future of mountain biking. Sitting across from me today in the world-class Haxton Road Studios are Rahsaan Bahati and Eliot Jackson, both professional cyclists who have been enjoying our city for the last few days, riding our trails, and taking in everything Bentonville. Welcome to the mountain biking capital of the world, you guys. Why don't we start with each of you telling us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into cycling?
All right. Thanks for having us here. It's always a pleasure to be in Bentonville and check out all the awesome trails. My name is Rahsaan, and I started cycling at 11 years old, specifically velodrome racing. And a few years later, I found road cycling, and I fell in love with road cycling because it was just like this one event that you can just do and get out of the way versus the velodrome racing was like warm up, race, sit down, warm up, race. And I fell in love with the sport and have been racing for the most part for about 22 years. I had 14 years of racing at the professional level. Spent some time in Europe to get some of that culture. And I love the sport of cycling. I wanted to get more inner city youth into the sport. So 10 years ago, March, I started a foundation called the Bahati Foundation, and we encourage inner city youth to rise above their circumstances through education, music, and sports. And we just do our part to make sure, we give back to society in a positive way.
That's amazing. Eliot, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and history?
Yeah, I got into bikes with my brother maybe when I was 4 or 5. We used to just build these little, looking back, there were probably little molehills in the backyard, doing jumps and, inviting the neighborhood kids over. And that kind of led to a lifetime of two wheels, and got into downhill mountain biking when I was 18, which led to almost a 10-year career in the World Cup circuit, the downhill World Cup circuit. I was in Europe, did that whole thing, represented my country in the world championships, which was just amazing, like thinking about traveling all over the world, doing what you love. And now kind of transitioning into other stuff in the bike space. So I'm a commentator for Red Bull TV, getting to do that, just kind of yell at my friends as they go down the track. And also started the Grow Cycling Foundation last year, which was kind of in recognition. If somebody wanted to pursue the path that I did, how would they do that? How do you give people the tools and the access and like Rahsaan said, the education to know what are the opportunities here, and if you want to pursue a life in cycling, what does that look like?
That's amazing. Yeah, I think they're both really great things. We'll talk about them a little bit more. Let's talk about trails. In your words, what makes Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas's trail experience unique?
Man, so I have never been to a place where I can ride from the bar in town and there is a trail that leads out into just miles and miles and miles. We rode here, so this is not my first time. I came in November of last year, and I just never seen a city so invested in the bicycle to really, provide that access right out of town. So many entry points around the city, and so many different styles of trails. Being a pro, and I for sure thought it was like Arkansas. Like I think they maybe have like hills there, but. And it's just amazing because you can ride these little loops and, it's not super, super far up. And you have like all of these different obstacles, like different gap jumps for if you're, advanced and stuff like that, being able to be creative and just explore. And so I think that culture, along with the amount of trails, is just it's something I'd never seen before.
Yeah. Rahsaan, what do you think? Coming from a road cycling background to a mountain biking mecca.
Yeah. I did appreciate that what Eliot was saying, like you could leave any place of being in Bentonville proper and be on a nicely groomed trail with a big smile on your face. And being a road guy, mountain biking to me was a bit intimidating, especially when you know someone like Eliot or you know, like Brian Lopes. You know, they're doing some really insane things, but the reality is that's not just mountain biking. There's levels to it, and the Bentonville trails offer all of these different levels, and like literally anyone can ride them. Literally anyone. So
even Rahsaan.
Yeah, even Rahsaan, even a guy who doesn't jump can like start at a low level and literally work its way up. And I think that's just amazing, because when you see these kids out here riding, you already know in the next few years they're going to be better than all of the ones that came before them.
Yeah.
Because they have this access, which is huge. So yeah, I'm impressed. I've told all my friends at home about Bentonville. I haven't been quiet about it at all, you know, and it's a great model, and whatever you all are doing, keep doing it. It's a great model.
Thanks. Yeah. We like it here too.
You're like, I'll take that.
What do you think beyond the trails makes Bentonville such a welcoming community?
Well, I think it has to do with kind of I kind of mentioned it, but there needs to be a full circle acceptance of the bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if because so many places have world-class trails, but you go into the town and people are like, those are the bikers, right? And there's this separation.
Yeah.
So here you have buy-in from community leaders, you have buy-in from local business, you have buy-in from the residents of the community, where if there is a trail entrance like at the end of the community or end of a cul-de-sac or anything like that the people in the cul-de-sac aren't complaining that it needs to go out. And so like the bicycle is not a crime here. And I think that is something that's really important. And so it creates that welcoming experience because there's exposure. So when you go to the trails, you go to the local coffee shop and you bring your bike, it's like, cool, right? Like, I've seen that before. I know what that is. And so I think that's one of the more unique things that I've seen here is just like that kind of full circle 360 acceptance of mountain bikes and biking in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Being where I come from, like cycling was never cool. Like,
yeah, especially
road cycling, because you wore the required uniform is tight pants, tight shirt, you know, the arrow helmet and the funny looking shoes. And one thing I would say about being here in Bentonville, Eliot is spot on. The acceptance is just right there. You don't even have to try to fit in. You could be on the $15,000 bike, or you can be on a $500 bike. Mm-hmm. You're still out there and we're all the same, you know? And I think that's what I really loved about even seeing just all the different kids. Some of them are on a really nice bike, some are not, but they're out there on the same trails doing the same thing. And that's huge for self-esteem, motivation, you know, how you interact with other people. So it's more than the bike. You know, the bike is just this vehicle to really bring the human race and the community together. And I think this is a good place that's making it real, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more, coming from living 8 years in Southern California and 7 in the Front Range of Colorado. And then coming here myself before we moved here, it was like the community was just so different. Like, I had a community of cycling friends and that in those places, but it was, to Eliot's point, very like disconnected from everything else, where like, yeah, they kind of look at you funny when you roll up to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Cycling up and they're like, where are you going?
It's even within like what I noticed too, that's different from mountain biking or road biking. And like the road scene is, it has this very like elitist, like bravado, like I know, what's the other word? Like machismo attitude. Yeah. And
bougie.
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 That's it. Very, very bougie. And one thing, like, back on the point, it's like mountain biking to me and the community here is like the mountain bikers could have that same sprinter van that the road guy has, but the difference is the road guy is like has all the shades up, windows closed. You cannot come in and see like everything I got in here, where the mountain biker's like slapping road stickers all over, or stickers he's got from the road and local breweries all over the sprinter van. The door is open, the mountain bike's hanging on the ground, and they're blaring music and they're offering you a beer. Mm-hmm. So it's like more welcoming, and it's like I really appreciate it.
I feel like you've been hanging out with Nat.
Yeah. Let's keep that going.
Slapping stickers on things. Oh, awesome. So you guys have both been here before and experienced our community. But this week you're here again together. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on while you're here this week?
Yeah. So, from our first trip, we actually came together last November. And I think before we even got here, the powers that be, Bike NWA, and I think at the time Trailblazers were around, they basically saw the need, and from my understanding, they were already working on how do we bring in more diversity to Bentonville. Mm-hmm. I understand that some of the surrounding communities are very brown and black, and perhaps they feel, inferior to even come here and check out the trails and use the resources that are here. So one of the things when they consulted with us was like, I think Ellie and I both agreed, it's like one of the things you have to do is let people who look like them tell the story, because it just resonates a little more. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes in the cycling space, you'll have, not that my counterparts that are white can't tell a cool story, but when you're talking to Black kids, it doesn't resonate as much. They may listen and enjoy your stories, but when I walk up and I tell you, hey, I'm from Compton, California, and I found the sport of cycling and it changed my life forever, and here's some of the things that I've done through the sport, it just kind of wakes them up, like, all right, I live in Little Rock and I heard it's kind of just like Compton. So maybe I can do this. It's like it's more real. So we're here to just help cultivate those communities, let them know that it's okay to be Black and ride bikes. Black people ride bikes. Elliot think I'm always playing, but I'm amazed at some of the things he does on the bike. And just yesterday when he was riding and doing some things, you can see the kid's eyes just like open up. And I'm like, dude, I guarantee you that one of those kids are going to be back at this bike park trying what you just attempted, and you just changed his life forever. So we're here to just, give that exposure and whatnot and open up their eyes.
Yeah. Elliot, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think Rahsaan hit it right on the head. It's just that acceptance, that exposure, that normalcy, for all people, right? Like when I was growing up, like seeing someone that looked like me or even in my community, like having that acceptance from my own community where it's like, that's like a white sport or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important for people to know that the bicycle is this vehicle to achieve your dreams. It's freedom. For me, it's like allowed me to live this life that's like insane. and it's all just because I rode my bike a lot. Mm-hmm. And so I think for me, it's like getting kids to be like, I want you to ride your bike a lot, because it can lead to so many amazing kind of life outcomes.
Well, I think this community and the cycling industry as a whole is fortunate that we have people like you that have those experiences and are willing and ready to share them with others. I mean, that's a whole different spectrum that I've seen since 15 years ago when I started working in the cycling space. So it's really cool to see it come full circle, and we appreciate you guys being here. So, okay, back to trail talk. Do you have a favorite trail here or a trail feature that you like the most?
What was that place that we went with it's got that rainbow. There's a chain that goes along.
Oh, that's right here, right off of All American.
Yeah.
Like
A
the handmade,
masterpiece?
Yeah,
yeah,
the
the masterpiece.
Oh my Lord. I saw that. We went over there, we rode there, and I was like, what did you guys do?
Yeah, that is insane.
It was just crazy. Like, I feel like that's one of the things that's so cool, right? That you have, you have an art piece, literally like an art piece, in the middle of the trails that you can go, and we session, like took some photos over it. And, you know, like Rahsaan was saying, you can roll over it first, you can jump it, you can wall ride.
I rolled over everything, just to let you know.
So you ended up doing the wall ride by the time you
No.
were done,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Not even
Just follow
close.
Elliot's line.
Yeah,
It's that easy,
it's not
right?
that easy.
I think I was laughing because the first time I rode with Rahsaan, I was behind him, and he's like, yeah, I think I want to hit this jump. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, follow me in or whatever. And I cruised in, and there was a group of us. And so I was like, cool. And I heard, "Wah!" Like, and I look back, like Rahsaan's there or whatever. And then I go over, and Lopes is like, I think we need to start him off a little bit smaller. He's like, he got it, but
Yeah, barely.
They didn't make you go off the hammer, did they?
No, I wouldn't do
Okay.
that. I actually do want to try it now, though.
yeah, he's got it. It's one of those things where I feel like skills on the bike are just time on the bike, right? Like I know
Absolutely.
exactly what my bike is going to do in all of these different situations. And so there's like no uncertainty around like, oh, like is my bike gonna kick up, or am I gonna go too far or whatever? I've just like done it way too much to know like, yeah, this little bump is gonna make it do this or that. So it is like one of the other things about this place is just like there is a lot of trails.
Do you have a favorite trail, Rahsaan?
I'm not sure if there's a jump line in Kohler. Is that
There is. I'm going to guess
Like,
you're going to probably say
off the hub?
Fireline.
Fireline is just a bunch of like,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys didn't do it. I
okay.
went down it with Mike Hecker.
Yeah.
And no one saw it except him. And it was like one of those things like when you beat your bully up, but no one saw you beat the bully up. I was like, dude, I absolutely crushed Fireline. No one saw it. And I haven't been back, and I want to go back and do it again. So that was by far the one that like stood out to me the most.
Convenient.
Yeah, very, very convenient. Very convenient.
I'm not sure that really happened. I actually just did that trail the other day with a friend of mine, and was the bridge drop there when you guys did it?
No bridge drop.
Okay. It's all rollable, but like you come up on it and you kind of can't see over it. And you just have to like trust that you can.
The last time somebody told me to roll over something was last week.
I heard.
With Gary, and almost died. You could just totally roll over it. Oh my goodness.
Well, I feel like that's the problem is like, he was probably like, oh, I don't want to scare him or whatever. And for Gary, Gary's a wild man.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, oh, I'm just going to roll over it. Like, you know, Rahsaan. And if you try to actually roll over it,
Literally, I took his word.
You saved it. That's some skill.
And I was clipped in. I think if I wasn't clipped in, I would have crashed because the feet would have came off the pedals. So because I was clipped in, I kept control of the bike, even though I was like literally like a T. I was vertical.
your glasses
I was so vertical, my glasses fell off my face, and I saved it.
And he told me that last week. I was like, that is amazing.
Then I took my ball and I went home. I don't want to be here anymore.
Well, you'll have to go back over to Fireline and let Eliot follow you down this time. So you've got
Definitely.
proof.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
I love it.
Okay, so off the trail, what has been your favorite Bentonville experience? Whether it's food or art or people or...
I would say people. Seriously, I've met some incredible people. You know, I got a chance to meet you a couple weeks ago, hang out with your husband, and get to know him a little more, which I'm like impressed with. And I think more people should know who he is and what he's done for the sport. But yeah, I've just met some incredible people. Seriously, and that's what like swayed me to even keep coming back. You know, and then like the mountain biking for me is just the icing on top. You could do it any time of day for the most part because it's so accessible, and the people are awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that, where I haven't had an experience here that's like less than just like, oh wow, that person was really, really nice. Oh wow, that person was super nice.
What is going on here?
Like Truman Show or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It just feels good. Feels good, like walking down the street, smiles on everyone's faces. Definitely have had some good food. This trip, I have a little bit more time, so I am excited to try out, cruise into the museums. Check out some of that. I think there's a lot of like art here that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to kind of branching out now that I have. It's hard because I want to ride my bike. I want to test out or like go into the museums, but yeah, I definitely think the people are amazing.
You can ride your bike right to the museum and walk right in, and they have no qualms about it. I did it the other day. And it's really cool. And I mean, I think to your point, like we talk about this a lot. The people here are genuinely really nice and happy. And a lot of people are always like, why do you think that is? And it's like, I think being able to access the outdoors pretty easily really helps.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like you can take that 20-minute, just get up from the desk and walk away and be in nature for whether it's a hot second or not, and come back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I grew up in Oklahoma. I moved to California when I was 12, and my dad still lives in Eastern Oklahoma. And even when I would go back there, I never in a million years thought, I felt like nobody even knew what a bicycle was at the time. And I think that, to your point, like one of the things that like the bicycle and outdoor culture does is it gets people outside. And I think there's so much like health benefits and mental benefits to getting outside, getting some exercise, like breaking up that monotony of, sitting at a desk or whatever it is. Just kind of like makes a more full life. And I think that this Bentonville has created this, I don't know, it's like just a beacon, I think, for this part of the country that's cool. So everyone that's here wants to be here. And I think that's like an important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Rahsaan, you said it, you go back and tell all your friends about Bentonville. So when you do that, what do you say? What do you tell them?
I just tell them they have to check it out. Seriously, you could tell them as much as you want, just like Lopes was telling me how awesome it was. And I was just like, dude, it's Arkansas. Like, it can't be that dope, And until you physically get here, like I said, it's more than just the riding. The riding is amazing. It's top notch, right? But then it's the other things. It's the hospitality at the hotels. It's the locals that are like rad bikes smiling at you. And to your point too, is like people are living a more healthier lifestyle, which helps your mental health, which just gives you a better perspective on life, So it's a really nice ecosystem that's going on. So I always tell them, look, you got to go. I can't tell you anymore. Just pick a time and go. Trust me, you won't regret it, And I say, if you don't believe me, just Google like Bentonville mountain biking, and you can watch YouTube videos all day long about Bentonville mountain biking. So that's all I say.
Awesome. Eliot, how do you tell your friends about?
The conversation, because so many of my friends are like gravity fed people, downhill or whatever. They're like, yeah, do they have mountains there? What do you? And I'm like, yeah, like it's enough.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie to you and say that we have like some 8,000 foot peak or anything like that. But I think the thing about it is you don't need that, like because of like the way that the trails are built, the access to them. You can do these little loops where it might be a couple minutes up and then a minute down or whatever. And so it's like, like I don't need that 10-minute downhill trail or whatever. And then not only that, like I can go from there into another spot. So I think that that's kind of what I try to get across to people.
Yeah,
is kind of helping to shift their perspective on like what gravity fed or like fun kind of mountain biking is.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, because I think that's something that, I mean, I said it too. I was like, mountain biking in Arkansas,
right.
First time I came here. But yeah, like we definitely have something for those gravity downhill riders that want to experience our community. It might not be a 10 minutes.
Yeah. Now it's, I feel like for me, it's nice because like I'm not racing full time, and like even on in like one of those 10-minute things, like I'm stopping like 5 times. I pull over, my hands hurt.
Yeah. Well, so if people want to follow you or get involved with either of your foundations, whether it's the Bahati Foundation or Grow Cycling, how can people connect with you? Where can they find you on socials? How can they connect with the foundations?
Yeah, mine is Bahati, which is my last name, BahatiFoundation.org. From there, you can see all of our social media handles. And if you want to follow me, I'm Bahati Racing across all platforms. So last name and then RACAING. That's me.
I'm Eliot Jackson, 1L, 1T. And then our foundation website is growcyclingfoundation.org. And then the Instagram handle is the same.
What is the 101 LT? Is that what you said? 101 LT?
101 LT?
That's what you said.
What was your handle?
Your Instagram handle.
Eliot Jackson.
Oh, damn.
101.
No.
I was like, what's the story?
No.
Oh, I see what you did.
Oh.
I see what happened.
Yeah. So my name is Eliot Jackson, and then everyone spells it with like 2 L's or 2 T's. So I always say like 1L, 1T.
Got it.
Yeah, it sounded like you put that at the end.
No, I was like, there's a story behind this.
Yeah. No, actually, one of the stories behind my Instagram is I am always like super late to social media, and my brother is always super early, and he would always get me these social media handles way before I use them. So he signed up. He liked Instagram so much that he signed up for me and got my name early. So I got my first and last name without any underscores and stuff like that, because he like couldn't get enough at Instagram.
That's amazing. You have someone looking over you.
My social media handler.
Oh, is there anything else you guys want to add before we wrap our conversation today? Anything?
I'm just happy that we're having conversations. I know this is focused on trails and whatnot, but some of the tougher topics that come up, I'm glad they're being had, because cycling can be diverse, and this is a excellent place to help with the diversity. And so I'm definitely applaud everyone that's involved here within Bentonville and the surrounding areas that are feeding this area. It's an awesome place, and I truly enjoy my time here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think that just the fact that, Rahsaan and I are here, having the experiences that we are, speaks volumes to the people who are here and the organizations who are really leading the charge in this area. I think it is, just like I said, a great place for kids and people of all ages and skill levels to just ride their bike more, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you guys being here and having, this conversation and talking about experiences. And we look forward to seeing you back more and how those relationships and conversations keep developing. I mean, I can't wait to see what Bentonville looks like 5 years from now. I mean, the last 5 years have been something pretty amazing. So yeah. I think with having you guys around, it'll definitely help a lot. So.
Let's hope so.
Well, thank you both again for spending time with us today. We've really enjoyed having you in our city. For everyone listening, remember that you can catch the New American Town episode and all of our other great podcast episodes on streaming channels and by going to visitbentonville.com. Also, don't forget to follow Visit Bentonville and Bike Bentonville on Facebook and Instagram. You'd also need to follow Visit Bentonville on Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We have many exciting plans for this year in the mountain biking capital of the world, so plan your trip today. That's all we have for this episode, and we'll see you next time.